On Monday morning, close to 10 a.m. Just trying to get things set up and gonna continue this drawing here, painting of these characters, and just kind of keep going in and adding more details as before. So currently, I'm using the round mixing brush. Just continue on here. Adding some details in this. This is will most likely not be seen too much by the viewers or the readers. Kind of see some of that texture, underlay texture I've added before, earlier stages. Just trying to get a lot of this color in, and if you can actually see it noticeably, it's better because it's reflecting all the different lighting and color areas. I've been going at this comic for several years now. I really kind of went head steam with it, and during the pandemic, the early stages of it. So that was like 2020. I was kind of working on the story and the lore and everything before that. But it's a lot of work when it's a whole world you're trying to build. It ends up being more work than you anticipate. But I'm definitely having fun building it. Like, I'm not gonna lie there. Building and making sure everything connects correctly. It's a fun process, but time consuming. And you kind of want to mix your brushes in this stage. It's take some of the make sure everything's not linear shaped. Sorry about that. I want flat areas. Make sure they have kind of a silhouette. And I'm smoothing some of the areas here on the helmet. This is a soft, it's actually kind of like a glass. It's a glass material. Strong glass with that. And we want to have some hard edges. Everything doesn't need to be so soft. Definitely keep some of those hard edges. And there's a lot of purple overall in the scene. You have the sky above, and his character's costume or outfit is purple. So it's just overall a lot of purple. And if you execute your values correctly, it really doesn't matter what color you go with. Anything could look fairly natural if you get your values, the correct range. And the shadows have to look correctly. So I think I'm going to keep some of that texture. A little bit of highlight in there. Later on today, I'm probably going to be doing a live. I think I'm going to do some pencil drawing. I'm not sure on the subject or topic or anything, but really want to work a little bit more on my pencil or get more oil paintings done. That seems to be something I go back and forth on. Make sure you keep the line work crisp. It's most areas. Darker shape. I grab a little bit of that red down here. This is reflective. These are like pipes. I don't know what purpose they serve, but I'm gonna have to figure a lot of that out. Um, it's not integral to the story, obviously, but it's always nice to have an explanation for some of these objects. Quite nice. Had a blender down here. It's a little rough. Alright, since this character over here to the left corner is closer, he's going to need more detail than what I have right now. A little bit more. It needs to be more crisp, a little bit more clean. It's everything. I got some jagged edges, and things aren't blended. It's okay if it's like a background character, but this one is up close, so I need to make sure I have the details correct. So, in a minute here, I am gonna get rid of that concept art, and I'm gonna bring up this character's concept. Now, I could easily go inside and within the comic and use that, but here it's a little bit more detailed. I've explained a few things on the page, and let me zoom into this shoulder area and expand that, the window. Okay. So here we have this character. So, a few things here. This overlaps this metal piece. But I would like to have this pipe right here. It needs to be reflecting right there. And even a little bit lower down here on the lower chest. Just got to keep everything in mind. Program to see. Let me go back up to the head here. And just need to be a little bit more clean. So this is square-ish. Kind of goes like that. Go up here. This has got to have a little bit of. So it's facing the top up. So it's a reflective material, goldish material. So it's got to have some of that orange. I go with a dark brown, kind of lower edges. blend these edges here. Let's keep that a hard edge. This shine right here on top of the head. Fix some of the line widths. Now, everything doesn't have to have, like here, like a dark edge to it. Get some of that, some purple in here, since this is facing it's called the Electrostorm. I didn't really think too much of the name when coming up with it. It was kind of on the wing. I'll just kind of stick with that. And low-rise, there's a reason for that. It deals with the entity kind of at the end of the road. I guess you could say that. These dark values, a little bit darker. Since the character's a little bit closer to the screen, the camera, whatever, he needs to have darker values over here. So some of these areas need to be really dark. Just a little bit of highlight there. Now this piece that sticks out here is not good. Kind of bring that up to the edge there, of darkness. And there shouldn't, as I mentioned many times earlier, there shouldn't be too much detail in these dark spots. So it's just kind of shrouded. Just enough to kind of give it a little bit of shape behind it. Add the shadow there. And if it's a cast shadow, it usually has a harder edge. Surface shadow, softer edge. Pretty good rule to keep in mind. So these kind of hard edge areas, they need to stay, since it's a man-made object. It's gonna have, it's not organic. All right, so I got these little, I guess, areas here. All of this needs to have its own shape. It's kind of like a beveled area. dark in there, and right here, likewise, and alright, so let me fix that. It goes like that, and then it kind of, this is too long, so let me, here's the adjustment. So this should be more lower like that. So that's correct. Like a flat back here. And that's why it's nice to use a concept art. You exactly know what is where. You're not guessing anything. It's just like a template for everything. From color scheme to what design, what pattern, everything. So I gotta be more crisp with some of these edges here. So this is more, if you look on the concept, it's a little bit more rounded. Like that. So the back piece needs to reflect that. Stay true to what I have in the concept art. I don't think I made, it seems like it's just a flat piece. So what I'll do is kind of draw in a gradient a little bit. That'll work. Let's a little bit on the back end. I want a little bit more highlight right in here. And then up here. This overall, just a few white areas. Give this subject full range, right, of value. Pull some of that down. It's looking pretty nice. I'm going to bring that all the way to the edge right here. So I feel like I lose a little bit of the edge for the top front of this helmet. So kind of define that. So according to here, this is kind of goes up like that, and then it circles around like that. And there's actually these like kind of wedge pieces. It's like moon-shaped holes on it. So if I move that, there's a little piece right here. And I don't want to make that subtle. I don't want it to stick out too much. Alright, let's fix this. This is messy looking. I'm forgetting to go back to some of the soft brush. It's nice if you make it a little bit bigger and then kind of just touch over some of the hard areas. It gives it a nice gradient. Oh, sorry about that. I got a battery warning for my tablet. I want to go back to the soft brush. So for some of these like metal areas, this is really good. See how it gives it a nice. And you can go here. Since it's rounded objects, this darkness might not go all the way to the bottom of the object there. And when looking for like reference and that sort of thing, it's good to just pull from real life objects and see how things connect in reality. You know, it could be any kind of machinery or anything. It'll give you like a realistic look of how things are connected together. It's just, I think, a good method. So it should be completely white. Make sure the edges are straight, or straight as possible. This is, keep it consistent. Alright, so I've seen a little bit of a problem here. So this is supposed to go kind of down like that. So let's fix that. And smooth some of that out. Um, yeah, this is where I was looking at before. It needs to be straight, and my eye kind of went up to this, and then the concept art, and it wasn't right. So that's how I noticed that before. So back to the blender, just kind of fix a little bit of this. A lot of soft edge on here. Make sure it's not too soft. So let's get some of the purple. Add that up just a little bit, touches inside these shadow areas. And then likewise down here on the bottom of this metal piece. Bring that all the way to the edge there. Okay, not looking too bad. There. I'm just looking at where all of the possible color changes can come from. It's all going to work together nicely, I believe. So this is kind of like that neck, call it the sternocleidomastoid. I'm not great at anatomy terms and what things are named, but I screwed that up. Okay, sorry about that. It's the ground. And let me rename that really quick. Okay, back to the top. This character is the top layer right now. I got about, say, 7 or 8 layers maybe. Yeah, the helmet's looking pretty good. Quite good. Mostly good. Not get too carried away in the dark area. Just kind of keep it like that. And I'm going to define the edge on these chains. Capture some of that. Connected. Connected. Alright. So this kind of goes around. I get a little bit of purple. Let's put that up here. And just blend a little bit. Gotta, even with using a tablet, you gotta keep that soft touch. It does register like precision and how hard you push. Right now, I'm running off of a laptop. I used to have what is it? What was it? A desktop, and honestly, it was like 10 years old. But I could still run a lot of the programs pretty good. I, kept adding video cards. Eventually, it just kind of died. It's actually sitting right here to my left. It was a good PC while it lasted. But I'm gonna stick with this laptop until I'm able to. I feel comfortable to get a new good PC. Right now, I'm not having too many issues running things, and it's looking fairly strong. And I didn't even actually buy it for that purpose. It was more of I was doing some crypto mining stuff, and I was kind of using it for that on the side. But I just kind of lost interest in that. It's not really my thing. And the PC just happened to die. Pretty sure it's like a CPU related thing. Happened to die, and I had this laptop. It's like, okay, let me just set this thing up and see if it's strong enough to actually run stuff. And actually, I think in some ways it's better. Because it's newer. It's only a couple years old, I think. Or at least the model. I'm kind of doing this. And, art's not really it's not my main source. I have like a regular job that I do. But I would like to transition to doing this full time. So it's kind of my goal. And I want to release this comic. But this is something that I'm not even sure if it's gonna succeed or what. But it's more like, might as well try. And I kind of get the word out. This is like advertising. Not advertising, but getting the message out, I guess you could say. Eventually, this is going to have to be funded in some way. Either myself or a little bit of help. But I'm definitely enjoying the journey. Looking on. Let me save really quick. Always save frequently. Do not want to lose all that progress. Oh, okay. All right, so we got a little bit of this armor here. It's shaped. That's good. I like how that adds just a little bit of the silhouette to the character. These metal pieces. I'm gonna add a little bit of purple, just just a little bit. Well, there's a lot of purple in here, but the environment kind of reflects that. Even down here should be some, maybe not there. There, down here. And let's this gold. Let's add a little bit of that. Down there, on this third piece here. Just a slight bit, just a little bit. And then over here on my shoulder pieces. Let's kind of round that shape off right there. Okay, looking a little bit better. I want to add a little bit down here under his arm. Okay, so the big problem right now, let me kind of blend that in a little bit, just a little. Actually, some of this should be lighter. I'll go with a lighter value. this side. Okay. So that'll match the right side. That kind of hard edge. Hard edge. I'm gonna go too wild with the soft brush here. A little bit. I don't want that kind of curved shape there. It's a little bit too strong. So just like here, like below, how it steps, this should have the same shape to it. So maybe I want to add a little bit of a lighter value. Maybe let's go with this kind of purple color. Okay. And even at the top here, it's a darker value there. That's not looking too bad. Just a little bit so we can see some of the opposite shape that's top armor panel. So this pipe here, it's going to leave a shadow. So that needs to be addressed. Let's get some of that rim lighting, or rim shadow. And the pipe has a lot of issues right now. I'm going to actually get to that. So if you look on the concept art, it's got this piece right here. It's almost connected to the. I kind of sloppily put that in. So let's kind of define some of these shapes. So it's like a cylindrical. Like that. I like kind of losing some of that and the shadow there, just a little bit. Just a little bit peeking down there. Okay, it's not so bad. That's too big. Line is too fat, too thick. A little bit of lighter value there. And that kind of gives you the shine a little bit, just kind of in steps. Okay, so this is a little bit too, needs to be overall darker. So let's kind of wash, maybe let's go with a soft brush here, just for the heck of it. Okay. So then I can go back to the thick oil paint and let's kind of shape what this is. So we have this will be closer to the light hitting it. So it's kind of lighter value. Let's kind of shape this thing out. And you don't have to add, like right there, it doesn't look too bad. Just remember, some of this is in darkness, so you don't have to see every little shape. Shroud that. Down here, there was this little piece here. Okay. And then we have the connecting pieces on the bottom. And then just simple swipe through. Make sure the shape is correct as possible. That there. Just like up here. I want to add a little bit of lighter values going into this. Give it a little bit of like shine. Likewise, let's keep it a little bit more like a 2 or 3 on the light on the scale. Okay, this is a mask right here. All right, let's kind of have that blend that in down. Make sure it doesn't bleed too much into the armor. Okay. So I got a little bit of the purple kind of. Let's take just a little bit of that blue. And the gold. Make it really subtle. So I want to leave a little bit of the shadow. Should be casting a shadow most likely. Try not to make up random shadows, or try to think as logically as possible. Like if the light was hitting here, where would the shadow cast? Just try to think, in 3D terms. Where would the shadow be cast? On every object. And a lot of this stuff will get easier if you practice at least consistently. I know back, when I was not practicing consistently, even in my regular job, I bring a sketchbook at my breaks. I'll, even if it's 20 minutes a day, whatever, it really, really, really helps. Because sometimes, like after work, I just don't, I'm too tired or whatever, and I don't have the energy or time to put into art. So I think sometimes doing it during lunchtime or when I'm on a break really, really, really is beneficial. I'm just keeping it simple shapes. So they're down here. This should be, it's too light right there. I think all of this is too bright, too bright, too bright. Let's be darker, darker. If you have it too bright, it's going to distract from up here. Like if, for example, if we're like this, I mean that's distracting. So I want to keep the eye where it's supposed to be. If the reader wants to look down and look at all the detail, they can. Most likely not, but okay, that's looking pretty good. have just a little darkness in there. Okay. So this pipe does, or this tube or whatever, kind of has a pattern to it. So make sure it goes through the thin gouache brush. Sorry, I pronounced that. I think that's pretty good because it doesn't, down here, it acts like an actual paintbrush and it kind of blends some of the strokes in. Sometimes that doesn't work like the way you want it to. So with these lines, just make sure they're curved to the shape. So they cross over too. Just gotta make sure it's curved appropriately. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I could probably use a tool within the software to do that. But like I've mentioned many times before, I like kind of doing some of this back here. So here I want to have just these little kind of rivet. I don't know what you would call it, like pieces in here. If you add just a little bit of like lighter value, it kind of adds like a thickness to it. I think it looks pretty nice. Just subtle. It doesn't have to be a lot. So, oh, save. That's pretty good. There's, I think, a nice depth, extra depth to those areas. Okay, so look, I still believe like this whole area is a mess. It doesn't look good. So, always going in. And, go back to thick oil paint. I just love the edges that we use. Kind of lose a little bit of it. It's a little bit too saturated. All right, so up here it's like, ugh. Like kind of defining around this. Kind of define some of these shapes in here. Okay. Back over here. That. Okay. Not too bad. Okay. So this just looks like a jumbled mess. It doesn't seem to have any structural shape to it. So I'm trying to fix that. Kind of get adding a little bit of a darker edge work here. It's gonna have its own shape. Like you don't want it, or at least I don't want it, where it just looks like one giant piece. Everything's gotta have its individual shape going to it, because it's not one piece. All right, so over here, I think I got the idea right, but execution's not good right now. It's a little darker. I have a shadow there to make sure that makes sense. All right, so the shape is kind of interesting with these. I gotta accentuate that a little bit more. So that'll go kind of like that. I don't want to leave a little bit of room in there, like that. All right, and dark area. Let's just work on this part. So this will kind of go down. Really, if you look at the kind, it kind of connects into it. I'm gonna have that. A lot of this I'm showing you is just stuff that I've learned over the years. It's it's not cold hard techniques or anything. You should follow with so strictly or anything. Just I don't really consider myself like a pro. There's a lot of other guys that are just or people that are so good at that reflection. I think that's a pretty good shape. And the shape should continue to follow down here. We'll bring that up. I think it adds an interesting silhouette. But you can kind of understand what's going on because I introduced the characters up here. Actually, in an earlier page, down here they're all together, so you kind of know who is who, and kind of fixes that if there's any confusion. I just didn't want the characters all to magically appear and then who is who. Why is this character, might not be able to discern who is who under that costume. Alright, so this should kind of curve over into, keep it a little bit dark. Let me zoom out and see how this is kind of shaping up. Sure, I don't have a weird shape going on or anything. Since this is kind of going down, let's darken this piece right here. So that should kind of go into there. Not too bad. Here's this area. Let me check and see. Okay. So according to the concept, it does end. So let's cut this. Add a little bit of darkness. So he's got just kind of the outfit or costume or whatever. Darken that a little bit. So as far as the shoulder, fix that a little bit. So this is definitely foreshort angle. So it's gonna be. I'm gonna look at my own arm. It's. I do have these like figures that I use for this kind of stuff, but it's in my other room, and it's kind of big. So it's a figure from Anatomy Tools. Bought them like several years ago. It's been actually quite helpful. I got a head that I use for certain angles. So I forgot the name of it. It's planes of the head or something. And it's just a basic, almost like you were doing 3D modeling. Kind of head. And it's really helpful, especially when I'm working more from imagination, which, you know, this is a lot. Okay, so what do we got? What? So that is actually pretty good. Came out really nice. Okay, let me save really quick. Saving, writing the file, make sure that goes in. Oh, there's one detail I forgot. It's these diamonds here. Let's go here. That is on the second chest panel piece thing. So let's not go too, just a little bit. I kind of make it subtle. All of these little details are important, I think, especially in a comic book. It's not like a movie. I mean, it is, but Let's make it a little thicker on this side. Thicker. Let's do a lighter value. Okay, it's not so bad. All right. Let's go to the ground here. Now, as far as the values, I think it's okay, but if you look at it, it just looks like it doesn't have enough detail. But I need to be careful. It doesn't take so much away from. So I'm going to try to stay in the value ranges that I set earlier. And I'm trying to make it look like, they're standing on this like rocky kind of ground area. And then up here, I'd like to grab just a little bit of the highlights. And with rocks, it's a lot of angular shapes going on. So just gotta keep that in mind. See right here, it's kind of this angular shape. It's just the light. You can see it's coming. Mostly coming from the top. And I think it would be good practice here to just a little bit of variety in the colors down here. And then we kind of mixed some of the values inside. Small, just dabs of different like rock color. It's kind of orange. There's a little bit of gray. Actually, you don't have to use like too many hard edge like lines like this. I would kind of like paint the shapes in. And as it gets a little bit closer, just a little bit darker value. I don't want to get it dark like up here, because then it's just going to be a mess. I keep saying a mess, but it's true. I don't want to get too crisp. I'm trying to depict like almost a out of focus on the background. It's kind of my goal here. I kind of like to keep it the zoom not. Let me move this in a little bit so I can get more room. Capture a little bit of that orange. Yep, that's it. That is good. All right, so it's not too strong, but where it's taking away from the main image. Alright, that's pretty good. So let's continue that and add diagonal, kind of more diagonal the other direction. That. Let's get some of that orange color. And here, the values are very, very, very subtle. To kind of extend that to the corner there. And kind of get some of that. Pull that back. Okay, back. I was just checking something. Okay. So with the values, I think like this range is it's really I let's say between it's like 4 and a 6 right now. If you were to put a number on it. I don't want to go too dark. Like I said, like if I did this, that would be so distracting. So it needs to be fairly subtle. And I want to add a pinch more blue up here. I know in nature, if you look at shadow, it's actually blue a lot more, like dark black, a lot more blue. And I noticed that when actually hand painting some environments, which is a good practice, I think. At least it's helped me. So up here, let me see what I got. Okay. So I added a little bit of a darker value. That kind of goes up to like maybe 7 or 8. But it's not too distracting because I don't have it going all the way through the entire painting. So let's make sure this is eats over back here. And I'm just using the same brush. That's too much of a straight line. So, especially with an irregular surface there. So even just a little bit of this different color right now. I'm kind of playing around. more of the color than value. I don't know. Is that plant? Okay, that plant's on a separate layer. So these rocks will be casting shadow. A little bit of highlight or lighter values on it. Just a little bit there, just a pinch. So there's hardly any detail right here. It's like adding detail, but trying to do it without distracting, keeping the eye on the two characters. I'm gonna add here like a color change, maybe like a piece of kind of broad, big piece of rock here. Now I'm a little bit better at drawing this type of stuff than foliage. It's one area I need to focus and get better at. Okay, so keep these shapes very subtle, or the value changes. Subtle makes a big difference. Like keeping the range just a certain. Like the hair, I don't want it too straight. This is too straight. Even in the rocks, you need like a good silhouette. Take a little bit of that back here where this plant is. Let's look at this. A little bit of complexity in there. Actual rough patches of I'm gonna add a little. So it's right even up here. It's too straight. So when you zoom out, it looks a lot better. So since this is kind of like, I guess, foreshortened view, it needs to, or like it's on a perspective. So even though it's like natural, it's still got to have like a perspective in some ways. Okay, over here, like, that's kind of a big piece. Kind of separate them. Just trying to make it look as natural and organic as possible. I got this auto save on here. And it can be a little bit of a challenge if you're not using reference. But I think there's like a balance there. So I don't want to add too many highlights. I think that's, let me go back in here and capture some of this lighter. I know you can hear the tapping on the screen here, the Wacom, whatever, however you pronounce it. And just, you know, it's just like a shade lighter than what I have on the canvas. But it makes just a huge difference. And I'm just really, it's just simple strokes. Just trying to keep everything angular, especially with, as I mentioned, it's like the rocks. I don't want to go add too many highlights in there. I think that's good. I think what I could do here is keep the highlights right here. See how it, and just a subtle. So that'll kind of draw the eye from his head to hers. If I put some of the highlights right there. I think that's pretty good. Okay. So this plant looks horrible. Let me save really quick. I got about 30 minutes left. And that'll be it for the comment today. I'm really liking this particular panel. It's coming out nicely. I think some of the lighting is good. It's, you know, as realistic as I can get it. So this, yeah. So let's go with. So is that behind? Yeah, that's behind the ground layer. Let's have a little bit of the background peeking through. And this has got like tentacle kind of shapes going on, especially on the bottom, like the base of this plant. So I don't want to get too involved with it. Just kind of, it's got this kind of yellowish, these orbs or something on it. Darkness, so that's in shadow. Let's see here if I go to. That's pretty. A little bit of dark on where they meet on the flesh here. So in earlier pages, you can see this plant in more detail. So that's good enough. The reader already knows what it looks like up close, so I don't. It's already been introduced, so to speak. Okay. So let's move on. I have this is called the ship color layer. Now this is actually pretty good. I don't know how much I want to mess with that. Kind of straighten some of these. Okay, I have the pixel layer on it. I'm gonna thin some of this out right here. Okay. Now, what is the? Trying to figure. Let's see. Trying to look at where dialogue is. Okay. Big problem on this panel is the bottom part of the ship. So I think I did best right up in here on this last one. But this would be the main ship layer. Yeah, this needs a lot of work. So, fix that. I have to blend. And I'm just going to start on the bottom half of it. And a lot of this is just random shapes. There's not a whole lot of like particular thought to it. Just trying to keep it interesting. So here, this has darker values on it. I think it contrasts pretty well from the top to bottom. There's actual lighting going on. So soon I'm going to have to start the next page. According to this, it's I think page 27. So I don't want to. That's too light, I think. So a lot of this is harder edge stuff, since it's a man-made object. And I'm just gotta make sure the lines are mostly straight. More of a like crisp. You look at it, I mean, I'm just kind of randomly adding random shapes. There's no, as I mentioned like the minute ago, there's no forward thought to it. It's kind of the ship is very large, and this is like the underbelly of it. So you're gonna have it's almost kind of like in Star Wars, where they have the like Death Star, even the Millennium Falcon has all that kind of random detail. That's what I'm trying to achieve here. Let's give this a shape. Maybe kind of like a red. You always want to add like rounded shapes to everything. It's more interesting to the eye. And just a little bit like that. Okay. this should be kind of casting a shadow. I can do that. For any of those not aware, I'm using Clip Studio Paint for this, the whole thing. I know people told me, why aren't you doing it like more traditional? To me, this is quicker, and I could do it traditional, and I think it would capture a lot more audience if I was doing it like that. But honestly, it's not. I think it would take forever to do this like in a traditional way. I think it would be a little bit more fun. I have more fun doing traditional art than digital. Just something about the paper, pencil on paper, pen. For this, I'm on a screen. It has its. I mean, it's different. It's different feel, different everything. But it's really the benefit of digital is just not messy. Random details. I'm not even determine what the shape of this is. So this has a cast shadow on it. Make sure it's a sort of hard edge there. Right here is a little bit too straight. Add a little bit of a curve and then keep it. It's working pretty nicely. And what am I working on? I'm working on the underbelly of the ship here. It's called the E-Gyre 2. That is Eagle and Fire. Words combined. This is the second model. And there's an interesting kind of like background plot with one of the characters. He's driving or piloting the original model and has an accident. So that kind of goes into some of his background story of how he became this machine. I don't know. I wonder if I should keep that part in, or it's sort of random. It's in the earlier stages of the story, but it kind of relates. I feel like it relates to later comics or later in the overall story. Adding shapes and trying to keep this interesting up on the top. Interesting as possible. More subtle subtle lighter shade. Let's go like that. There we go. And some of the strokes that I put down, like it's random, but it'll work into the drawing at times. Add a little bit darker there. It's like a lower end piece. We have all this random sort of stuff going on. Random. Right. Keep that. This is just random panels, wires. It's the underbelly of the ship. But the ship even has its own kind of story arc in a way. At least in the earlier stages of this book, is kind of got its own thing going too. Let's keep that. Let's see, a bit darker. Got darker, darker here. Okay. Saving. So when I first started this comic, I was using Coral Paint, and I was like, okay, I like that software for painting. So I would export the shape of the pen. I would make the panel shapes in here, export it, paint it over there, and then export it back into here. Had to shape everything. Kind of a hassle. So a lot of the earlier pages are like Coral Paint. So I kind of talked to myself, and I was like, I gotta maybe try to quicken this thing, this process up. So I went and practicing Clip Studio Paint, and I really liked it. And I was like, man, I kind of like this better than uh, Coral Paint. So that's kind of how I ended up using this. Just all and that. A lot of my stuff, all of my stuff is really just Clip Studio Paint. I know Photoshop is the number one, but to me, I like it better for photo editing. I use it. I do use it in some of my processes because it's essential. But for painting, this it's less cluttered for me. If I need to do any photo editing stuff, Photoshop it is. But randomizing these shapes, almost like a computer. So that needs a little bit. See some deep. It's pretty good right now. A lot of hard edge work here, and some slanted areas going into there. gonna be shutting this down quick. Hope any viewer has, I don't know who's watching, but hope you enjoy this. I'm definitely having a lot of fun doing this. And I think it keeps me on my toes a little bit more. That's why I like it too. I like the sort of pressure because then it forces me to perform better. I'm not just kind of going through the motions, I guess you could say. I don't know who's watching, if anybody's watching or listening, but I kind of don't care. So I do toss these on YouTube, so if you want to skip through the video and I don't know, just extract anything that I've done. You're free to. Now, I was always afraid to use or to showcase the comic because I was thinking, oh, maybe somebody, but I don't think people know where the story is going to go or anything. So it really doesn't matter. Even if I'm just making the visual, like the dialogue is already written out. That's kind of its own thing. That's looking pretty good. I really like that. Actually, let's add some. Well, it's mostly some like red wiring. I just want like a little bit of subtle there. Just to get a little bit like color change. And you've all seen this kind of like this sort of detail. Anybody that's into like science fiction stuff recognizes this. Just a little bit of shade there. Thickness to the entire. Every object needs some kind of thickness to it. Even though it doesn't have to be supremely detailed. That's more fun than making these ships up here, or these vehicles, personal vehicles. It's kind of randomized. Let's go. What is behind that? Let's see. Background. It's not part of the main. Okay, it's part of the main ship there. Okay, so a little bit of like that. I think I'm gonna quit on this note here. So microscopic, and I notice a little bit. So I gotta have to go have lunch. I will be back later today. So this is kind of where I ended off. I'm gonna be going back to maybe work on the faces a little bit. I think for the most part they're pretty decent. Came out decent. I got to do the background, like background layer. Kind of add a little bit. I don't want to add too much, as I mentioned earlier. I kind of want it unfocused. I know there's a lot of detail on the top, but I think it works. It works with the overall because I'm trying to drag the eye down. So it would be from his head going to the left. Here's the display, the ship, the head, and then you can either you follow. Hopefully, it follows the arm, this thing down here, this pillar, or even from the head over to her. And you know, his head, he's down. I think it flows fairly nicely. So the dialogue, I think, kind of works with along with it. So I'm going to end this stream. Thank you so much for whoever's watching, and I will end the stream right now. Thank you.